Hey, bricks and mortar retailers, welcome to this week's training. The training I do in the Facebook group every second week for bricks and mortar retailers. And today we're going to be talking about a really important topic again, which is a version of how to solve our business cash flow problems within our bricks and mortar store. There is, as always, a worksheet associated with this. So if you want a copy of the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet below. What I'm going through today is typically what I go through with my clients, I beg your pardon. And this is a really important part of running a bricks and mortar store and a really important way of solving cash flow problems within the store. I'm not going to go through everything that's going to be in here. You can, I will provide you with the full worksheet, but I'll gloss over a lot of the minutiae, fine details, because it'll take a lot of time. I'm going to give you the main points that you need to be considering when you're running your store on how to get out of these cash flow situations. And yeah, basically that's it. You should be able to follow everything in here. So let me just rock and roll and get into it. So one of the, the major frustrations what we have is this constant battle to manage cash flow. And it makes it very stressful for us to cover operational costs and seize growth opportunities and, more importantly, pay ourselves. And this pressure that builds up to while we're going through this cash flow crunch, the pressure to allocate resources efficiently while trying to maintain our daily operations can be super frustrating. And then not to mention what happens when you get an unexpected bill or an unexpected expense emerges and we get caught off guard, and then that further impacts our financial stability. And with all that, with hidden cash, with cash sort of tied up in our business and with no way of releasing this cash, we miss out on growth opportunities, leads to all sorts of financial uncertainties, and makes it very stressful for us when we're trying to run our bricks and mortar stores. And what do we want? We want to have a business that's providing cash flow regularly. We want a business where we have money left over to pay our bills. We want a business that we're going to have money left over to pay our team. And of course, we definitely want a business that we want so we can start to pay ourselves. So these are some really important concepts. And this is just the basics, hopefully, of what you're striving in your bricks and mortar store to achieve and get right. So when it comes to cash flow, and when it comes to running our business and doing it, we make a lot of mistakes at bricks and mortar retailers. And one of them is we become complacent with our inventory. And we become complacent with excess inventory sitting on our shelves, and we're really unaware that this excess stock is basically just hidden cash. And of course, I'm not talking about you, because you don't have excess inventory sitting in your back office. You don't have excess inventory sitting under your big gondolas in your store. But yeah, it's all the other retailers that are making this mistake of having all this excess stock sitting around. And another really big mistake we make as bricks and mortar retailers is we neglect accounts payable optimization. So that's a really fancy word for making sure that we have a system in place to negotiate better terms with our suppliers. The other thing, while we're doing that, we underestimate our cost-cutting control. Like, all of us know that we need to look at our expenses, but how many of us actually have a system in place to go through and optimize our expenses? So it's a really big mistake. Another really big mistake that we have is that we make as bricks and mortar retailers, that we tend to focus on purely sales. And by focusing purely on sales, the revenue's great, but we miss out on all the profit opportunities. We miss out on uncovering hidden cash within our business. So the big idea with today is just to let you know that we actually have a treasure trove of opportunities within our bricks and mortar store that can lead, that basically we've got money sitting in these treasure chests in our business that many of us, we're leaving it on the table. We're not really understanding how we can release that cash within our store. So it's really, really important that we have a look at that and we start to release it. So there are a couple of things that we need to do when it comes to navigating this aspect of controlling cash flow. And I've probably definitely ruined it there, but they're really not as obvious as you think. So everybody wants the strategies, and definitely strategy is a part of it. But as I alluded to over there, the first thing that you need to do is we need to have the right mindset when it comes to looking at our business, and when it comes to working within the constraints of our business to release extra cash. Okay, so I think mindset is really important. It's often overlooked, and it's something that we need to take control of. And yeah, that's really, really important. The next part is, of course, the strategy. So there are definitely a whole heap of strategies that we need to implement within our bricks and mortar businesses to then start to really uncover the hidden cash within our business and very much try and improve our cash flow. So that's really, really important. And the final strategy is the execution. So all of the things that, and this is with everything that we do in life, right? Especially within our businesses, I can give you all the things to do, all the strategies to implement within your business. And what it really boils down to is how you're going to execute that within your bricks and mortar store. And the whole execution part of it is often overlooked. I think what happens is we get so caught up in the day-to-day running of our business. What we need is actually a system, like an execution plan on how we are going to take what we need to do and start to execute it over the next 3-4 weeks into the month. So they're the three main ways that I highly recommend that you work through this within your store to start to improve your cash flow and start to look at uncovering some of that hidden cash that's running in your business. So what's really important? So let's talk a little bit about mindset. So this is what I call the action mindset formula. So this is just a fancy term to show you what's possible. And I won't go through all of it, but basically it's really about shifting your mindset. So you start to acknowledge that, yes, you're facing a cash flow crunch and that we need to now embrace a growth mindset to get us out of this hurdle. We need to start to create a plan, right? That's part of the whole execution process, but really making sure that we break down the strategies that we're going to implement / use to get out of this cash flow crunch. We need to start small. You've probably all heard of chunking down. So start small by implementing a few strategies only. What happens is, here today, you're going to get a whole heap of strategies, and a lot of us, we get analysis paralysis. And that's a problem in itself. So what it's really important is to pick a few key strategies that you're going to implement and give them a good amount of time to implement them within the store. And that follows on to breaking down. So chunking it down, making sure that you're not going through any sort of overwhelm, and basically making sure that you really have a plan in place to start to execute these things. There are some other things that you can do in there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all of it, but let it be known, I guess the main thing here is we need to make sure that we have the right mindset to work through this cash flow crisis and get out of this cash crunch. Now, there are strategies. There are so many strategies that you can use to get out of a cash flow crunch. So many strategies that you can start to implement in store. One of the main strategies that I get my clients to work on, and I suggest you work on, is to look at all that inventory that's sitting on your shelf, and let's start to work through that and start getting rid of the excess shit that's in our store. So it's not just a matter of, where we fail as bricks and mortar retail is like, what do we do? What's the process that we take to start to get rid of this excess stock? I've got the process here, but I'm not going to go through it. But there is what I want to highlight here is actually the process that you need to take within your business, from the real basics of assessing your inventory all the way to looking at ways that you can start to move that excess stock and turn it into cash. So there are, I think, 8 strategies in here that you can use to start to turn that excess stock into cash. It's what I call the inventory gold mine checklist. The other part was talking to your suppliers. So I think this is such an underrated part that retailers don't pay enough attention to. You could be negotiating a much better deal. But where we get stuck is like, how do we go about negotiating it? What is the best way to approach our suppliers that will give us a high probability of success and a high probability of them working together with us to improve our payment terms? So this is really important because not only does this free up excess cash, but it's a great way of finding hidden cash within your bricks and mortar store. The other one is the accounts receivable. Many of us run accounts within our store, and needless to say, if you haven't already looked into this, this is something that you need to do. Apply the strategies that I've got listed here. And it's basically, you just want to make sure that you receive money very, very quickly. If you're running accounts within your bricks and mortar store and you've got customers, you want to make sure they pay you very, very quickly. I think the simplest way to do that is to get on direct debit. Make sure you've got systems and processes in place to collect the money really early as well. Take credit cards, do all those kind of things. Follow the worksheet that I've got here. By the way, like I mentioned, if you want a copy of the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet in the comments section below and I will get it out to you. So there are some tips there on how you can work on your accounts receivable. Now, the next thing is when it comes to execution, it's really important that we have a system in place to do that. Like, how do we execute all the stuff that we want to do? And it's really important. Many of us have heard of SMART goals. So we need to make sure that they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And how do we translate this? I mean, we all know, well, many of us, maybe or not, know that we have goals. We need to set goals. And what I'm suggesting is we want the goals of how to execute what we're learning, what I've showed you. How do we execute these strategies within our store? How do we do that in a smart and efficient way? And my suggestion to you is use the SMART framework to do that. If you follow that framework, it's really easy to use because the SMART framework breaks it down into chunks, and I'm all about chunks. I've got an example here about I've got an example on how you can create some SMART goals for this particular aspect of your business. I'm not going to go through it in any length, but there's an example there, and you can certainly follow the example by using that, by using the very, very similar framework of using SMART goals in your bricks and mortar store. So ultimately, what it boils down to is a few actions that you need to implement into your store to help you get out of a cash flow crunch. And to get out of a cash flow crunch using the concept of hidden cash within your business. And this is hidden cash because these are little things that you can do that releases cash, flushes your bank account with cash. Doesn't take a lot of effort to do, but the effort is in the execution and the preparation. So really, really important. So what it all boils down to really is you need to keep it simple. How many of us, we have got so many things going on within our stores. And like I mentioned, the big thing is that it's so easy to get overwhelmed. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day running of our store. And when it comes to using initiatives like this to grow our business, very easily we can overcomplicate the matter. So it's really, really important that you keep it simple. And I've given you a whole heap of strategies to use. As part of that analysis paralysis, really important that you pick 2 strategies only to implement and execute over the next month. If you do all of them, I think you're definitely gonna freeze and fry your brain if you can do both. So it's really important to pick 2 strategies and to run with it for a couple of weeks, and then to test and measure, making sure that you test and measure. Otherwise, you don't know how well you're going. So make sure you pick 2 strategies. So there you have it. There are some strategies that I recommend to rescue your retail store and to solve your cash flow issues within your bricks and mortar store using some very, very simple strategies. All right, that's it. Cool. Like I said, if you want a copy of the worksheet, just pop the word worksheet below. You can have all of that. And until next time, we'll catch you later and we'll speak soon. Bye.